That was where the issue was. It wasn't actually Facebook. It was the restreaming system. So had to be rebooted real quick. So looks like it should be up and running. Great. Thank you so much, everybody, for your patience while we got that reconnected, and we should be live again now on Facebook. Sorry for any problems. Chairman, would you like me to restate that phone number for the public comments in the event that the feed went out before that happened?
Yes, please.
Okay. That phone number for public comments is 318-226-6596. Again, that's 318-226-6596. For anyone who is just tuning in, the meeting was streaming live, then dropped the feed. We noticed it and stopped the meeting while we could get the feed back up. And so now we're live again. So the votes that have been taken thus far were just attendance, which was a full 5 committee members in attendance today. We approved the agenda to be heard via teleconference. And then there was a motion to suspend the rules that also passed unanimously to allow for speakers who are here to speak on individual applications to speak at the time that their application is considered. Otherwise, no other votes or action has been taken yet, and I am not hearing any phone calls yet. Would you like to proceed to the next agenda item?
Yes, sir.
All right. The next agenda item is new business, where you have one primary agenda item today, and that is just to review additional American Rescue Plan funding requests. And I believe there are a few callers or a few guest members in the meeting today to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. I guess all the committee members did receive, should have been 4 applications to review for today's meeting. And I'll just select one of them and we can talk about it, see if we want to recommend this to the full body or not. First one is Martin Luther King Neighborhood Association, and it's for revenue replacement. Requesting $30,000. They basically have shut down the rental of the facility because they have senior citizens there Monday through Friday, and they don't want to commingle someone being there and the senior citizens are there to expose them to COVID. So they basically have stopped renting the facility out and losing revenue behind that. Any discussion on that one?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Before we actually engage on these individual items, could you please remind us where we stand on our balance between funds available and funds being requested?
Yes, on the last recommendations that we had that we actually voted upon, we had a difference of $2.7 million, $2,735,428 that we could still allocate today.
That was coming out of the last full body meeting?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right. Commissioner Hopkins, I see your hand up.
Yeah, on the MLK Business Association, who owns that building?
The Neighborhood Association.
Okay, so they have, I guess, is it businesses that have memberships and stuff that help defer the costs on that, or what?
The building is paid for. They take donations. It's a nonprofit. They take donations to help support it, and then they rent it out to also pay the bills and things like that. So
okay,
since they start renting it out, now, they're looking for revenue replacement to keep the lights on and be able to still feed the senior citizens Monday through Friday.
Okay, so it's just totally a neighborhood association, not a business association.
Right.
Okay.
No, there's a MLK Neighborhood Association and the MLK CDC. This
Okay.
is not the CDC. This is the Neighborhood Association.
Neighborhood association. Okay, thank you.
All right, Haley, I think I saw your hand as well.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that at the meeting, with the full body, there was a vaccine campaign that was added and another revenue replacement for the inner city entrepreneurship. So your actual remaining balance is no longer 2.7, it's 2.1.
Okay,
Thank you.
2.1.
Yes, sir.
All right, and what was the 2 that was added?
It was a vaccine campaign, for 600,000 and inner city entrepreneurship, revenue replacement of 30,000.
Okay,
Nice.
right. Okay, thank you, Haley.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman, if there's no more discussion on this, I'd make a motion that we approve the requested 30,000 for the MLK Neighborhood Association.
Second.
It's been approved by, it's been motioned by Commissioner Atkins and seconded by Commissioner Cawthon to approve the request of 30,000 for the MLK Neighborhood Association. Commissioner Atkins, you want to speak to your motion?
This organization has been in place for quite a while. It's a well-established, well-respected organization. They have a legitimate operation that experienced a true decline in revenue due to the coronavirus, and it seems like a legitimate and reasonable request to me.
Okay. Seeing no one else, Commissioner Hopkins?
I just have one more question because maybe I'm mixing things up, but doesn't Representative Glover have an office there he rents out in that building?
He is in that building.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, because, okay, that's what I need to know. Thank you.
All right. Seeing no one else, roll call, please.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Atkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins. Commissioner Hopkins, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. Is that yes?
Yes.
Perfect. Commissioner Cawthorn
Yes.
and Commissioner Gage Watts.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries unanimously with 5 in support and none in opposition.
The next one that I have is Red G Enterprises, doing business as the Regal Banquet and Conference Center. This one is economic development. The Regal Banquet and Conference Center wants to provide use of the funds for working capital. They want to hire 3 part-time employees, purchase some new computers, and a commercial cooler and refrigerators. Commissioner Hopkins, your hand up.
I guess my question is to Ms. Barnett. Does this meet the criteria for funds? I mean, this is starting, it sounds like they're starting new programs.
Currently, as the request is written, it does not meet the requirements of American Rescue Plan dollars.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Haley, but it would meet the requirements for the True Fund program that we set up.
Commissioner Johnson, when we spoke earlier, I mentioned that most of the small businesses with these kind of needs, it appears based on the True Fund application and the Cash Mob application, that those small businesses would be better suited to go through those appropriations that we've already made through the American Rescue Plan. So yeah, they seem to, they would be more fit in that category better.
You're muted, Commissioner Johnson.
Commissioner Cawthorn, has that True Fund program been set up yet with the application process?
Well, we haven't, as it relates to the parishes, we haven't, they haven't signed the CEA yet. But as soon as that's done, as soon as that is completed, then we will be able to move forward, accepting applications.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion on Red G Enterprises?
Mr. Commissioner or Mr. Chairman, I might just mention that this might be a better match for PPP funds. I'm not sure if the payroll protection program, I'm not sure if those funds are still available, but it may be a better match for that.
Those money's been gone since
Okay.
June 1.
I'm sorry, Commissioner
Those
Cawthorn.
money's been gone since latter part of May, early June.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right. Next item would be Shreveport Downtown Development Authority.
Mr. Chairman, so do we not need to vote on that since it doesn't qualify?
There was
Well,
no
yeah,
motion.
it didn't qualify. No one made a motion based on it not qualifying.
Thank you.
Next one is Downtown Development Authority. Amount requested $300,000, and I see Liz here, so she can kind of give us a summary of what the $300,000 is about.
Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I want to apologize for missing the first deadline for this round of funding. But thank you so much for allowing me to try for this this round. The Downtown Development Authority, we're a political subdivision. We were created in the mid-1970s by an act of the legislature. As a matter of fact, I believe that Hoppy was part of that, Todd. The need for an entity to just, have the concerns of our downtown front and center 5 days a week, every week of the year, or 7 days a week, every week of the year. So we were seriously impacted by COVID. Our property taxes were impacted by COVID. Our businesses downtown suffered greatly and continue to suffer. We're at about, we believe, 65% pre-COVID occupancy in our downtown currently. We can tell that by foot traffic. We can tell that by the occupancy vacancy reports that we're getting from our tall buildings. The DDA, much like the parish, we depend on property tax valuations, and we depend on property taxes as a whole to keep our organization going. Property taxes have fallen over the last couple of years. I sent you some additional information that I think shows you we have spent additional dollars on marketing to try to prop up our businesses downtown. I hope that we don't see any more business failures, but I fear that we will. Our tall business towers are definitely seeing some issues. We just learned yesterday that one of our large towers downtown, Louisiana Tower, is going up for sale. There is talk potentially that the building that used to be the Chase Tower may also follow suit at some point. And I can tell you that businesses don't choose a time like this to sell assets that are that valuable, because they will be selling them at a down point in the market. So there are a lot of external stresses. You all know that the city of Shreveport decided to go smoke-free at the casinos. So we don't yet know what that means for the casino revenue and what that will ultimately mean for property tax valuations for those properties as well. So we have a lot of issues that we are dealing with, and we're trying to navigate through them, trying to help all of the businesses and property owners navigate through them. A whole new paradigm. We all know it's a whole new world out there. We're trying to figure it out. And anything that we can do to help them, we try to. And that includes infusion of marketing dollars, assistance in any way that we can, working with these businesses and property owners through the city, the state fire marshal, historic preservation to try to get them historic tax credits, whatever we can do to help prop them up. But we can't do that if our funding continues to suffer. And we, at this point, don't see an end in sight for that. So we are asking for your help. Because we were and are a political subdivision, we were not able, John, you mentioned some of the grants that were out there. We weren't able to get PPP. We weren't able to apply for, the lion's share of the opportunities out there. And we were not, because we're not the city, not the parish, not the school board, we were not able to get any dollars directly from the state. So that's why we're coming to you.
Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, Ms. Swain, I certainly recognize the importance of y'all's mission and the importance of our downtown, not only for the city, but for the parish at large and for the overall region. I have a question for Ms. Barnett. Ms. Barnett, does this request qualify? And are we able to give to a entity within the city of Shreveport?
The way that the application is written currently, she's her classification was revenue replacement. However, the description of her projects were different. That was a beautification and things such as that. I will say that based on the numbers, as y'all all know, the revenue calculator is very specific on what revenue can be included, what revenue can be excluded. I did the revenue calculator for the Downtown Development Authority today. And because of some grants and other things that they received, they show no loss of revenue. Therefore, they cannot receive revenue replacement. However, some of the projects that she looked at were described were based on beautification, which does affect tourism and that kind of thing. Those sorts of projects we could fund through ARP, but we would have to have more information on the dollar to dollar. But unfortunately, the downtown development received a grant from Foster Campbell's office last year, which actually showed them with an increase in revenue, and therefore they cannot receive revenue replacement from ARPA funds. Sorry.
Okay.
Can I make a quick comment?
Mr. Chairman, go ahead.
Yes. Commissioner Atkins, you still have the floor. Do you yield the floor?
Well, if I may just comment, and then maybe you'll allow Ms. Swain to speak. But Ms. Swain, I would, if we're not able to fund you this time around, I think many of us recognize the importance of the organization, and there are other means of providing funding over time. I know that you're looking to ensure longevity of the organization, and it sounds like a one-time grant from Foster Campbell's office may have kind of thrown your numbers out of whack. It's a one-time deal. It doesn't reflect your long-term situation, which I recognize has its challenges. So if it doesn't work out this time around, maybe we can work something out in the future. And, I'm sure Commissioner Jackson, since you're in his district, would be happy to work with you in some way. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
If y'all don't mind, I will add that the revenue replacement can be calculated next year and the year after that. And so all the way through the year 2024. So it isn't to say that at the end of 2021, that entity might see a need for revenue replacement, and then 2022 as well. But between 2019 and 2020, there was not, based on the calculator that I'm required to use, there was not a reduction. But that doesn't mean, again, that in future years that this entity might qualify. Just wanted to make that clear.
Just to be clear, currently it does not qualify by your calculations?
By the required calculations from the federal government, not Haley's calculations, it does not qualify.
Okay.
But again, that calculation has to be redone every year. So at the end of 2021, when I get her audited financials, I can do the calculation again, and she might fall into that category at that time. But currently, there is none. And I have to take a 5-year trend to figure out what her growth rate is. There's a math to it, and I'm happy to share, Liz, your calculator with you. I have it in a file, but right now she doesn't qualify, but perhaps at the end of next year she will.
Okay, thank you.
May I say something just real quickly?
I'm done, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I'll just jump in.
I think the chairman was trying to tell you to jump in.
Okay,
But
I'll just
you-
jump
Oh,
in.
I said, go ahead. Yeah,
Okay, thank
I
you.
was muted. Go ahead.
And I understand, Haley, exactly what you're saying. The federal government is telling you how you have to calculate things, so you don't really have any leeway in that. The grant that we got through Foster Campbell was to replace light bulbs downtown. That was not revenue replacement. That was a grant. It was an energy efficiency grant to replace the metal halide light bulbs in our downtown streetscape poles, owned by the city of Shreveport, by the way, with LED light bulbs, so that we could save money and energy. That was not anything that we could plug into our budget in any other way. You guys know how grants work. You get it for a specific thing. You go do that thing. It's not to plug a hole in your budget. So it's unfortunate, and Haley, again, not holding you responsible. You didn't come up with the way that things have to be calculated, but that's what it was. And we have since then gotten a grant from Louisiana Environmental Quality for 3 EV light duty stations for electric vehicles downtown. You know, again, those have to go for light duty EV, right? That's not plugging a hole in our budget. That's not helping us do marketing for downtown, helping us bring businesses downtown, other than enhancing, you know, the quality of the experience of downtown. And John, I appreciate you saying how important downtown is to the city and the parish. You know, when you say downtown, you're talking about Shreveport. You know, you're not talking about Caddo. You're generally not talking about Bossier. You're talking about Shreveport. It's the skyline of our community. A lot of people will only come to downtown when they visit our city. If we have a vibrant, exciting, you know, walkable, pretty downtown, they leave feeling good. They leave wanting to come back again. If we have a scary, sketchy downtown with dead trees and broken up sidewalks and people don't feel safe, then they tend to believe our entire community is that way. So it's incredibly important for our parish and our city to, to continue to invest in our downtown. We would love to work with you on an ongoing basis. You know, when I found out about this, having an opportunity for one payment is wonderful, and I would have appreciated it very much. But if we can come up with a way to partner on a long-term basis, any little bit of money that we can get from various sources, we can put to work and we can match. So that's giving you bang for your buck. So I'd love to continue that conversation if this doesn't work. But thank you. And Lyndon, thank you for trying for me.
You're muted, Lyndon.
Commissioner Johnson, you're still muted.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, I do know we did have some funds set aside for green initiative. So maybe some of the landscaping you want to do can be tapped into that, just like we did on the other one with the True Fund application. Haley, I saw your hand up.
Yeah, so I just wanted to reiterate that some of the projects that you had listed on your description, if we had a value for those, maybe those would qualify. It's just not revenue replacement that qualifies. And also, if the commission so chooses, because I feel like you might get into a revenue replacement situation at the end of 2021 or 2022, they can still appropriate that money. We just won't pay that money until we can do the calculation and verify it. So I don't want anybody to misinterpret my comments by saying that we can't appropriate funds to the DDA. It's just we can't appropriate those funds as classified as revenue replacement for 2021. I hope I'm not muddying the waters, and I might be, but I just want to make that clear.
Well, I think that what we can do is just make sure that we keep a balance, and then we can come back and meet again and then reappropriate some more money and not try to use it all up between now and then. So I think we should go that path of just holding out and waiting, and then allocate those funds when they are needed and try to keep a balance. Commissioner Jackson, I see your hand.
Yeah, I may be a little late to the conversation here, but I don't know if it's been asked, and if it has, I hope y'all don't mind repeating for me. But I guess I'm just curious to know, one, has the city been approached? What has been their response? And if they have provided a response, what was that response? Or did they give a reason for their response?
Commissioner Jackson, I'm assuming, was that for me?
Yeah, anybody
Okay.
who can answer it. Yep.
Okay. To my knowledge, and I have approached them, we had a listening session to deal with the American Rescue Funds that the city was getting downtown. It was a very well attended session. We had a list of requests for the city, as did some other folks who were there. I've had discussions with council members and with the mayor's office. To my knowledge, there has been no decision made yet on how to allocate their American Rescue Funds, but I guarantee you that we will be asking for assistance. We would very much like to have assistance in the form of infrastructure improvements for downtown. We are losing the battle. We are losing that battle in a big, big way. And so we are just, this isn't to boost our budget. This is to keep the wheels on the car. So, whatever way that we can do that, we're looking for partners. And so I will continue to talk to the city. Of course, I have not heard that they have planned their budget hearings yet for the upcoming budget session. We will be there for that. We talk to department heads. And so, I'm trying to cover all my bases on that. I'm not being told that we aren't getting anything, but I'm not being told that anybody's getting anything yet. So that's kind of where it stands.
So because a lot was said, but I guess I'm trying to figure out. So it's still to be determined on what the city is going to do for
anybody, I think.
For the DDA, for your request.
There has been no method to put in an official request like there has been with the parish. As soon as the city does that, we will definitely put in a request. But in the interim, I'm talking to all of them about what the needs are. And so I will definitely continue to do that. If you've got any other advice for me, I will take it.
Well, I know above the beyond, I'm talking beyond the American Rescue Plan dollars.
Yes.
I do recall the city noting that they had about a $80 million surplus. They ended last year with an $80 million surplus. I'm just trying to see.
Yes, sir.
There are different pots of money beyond the American Rescue Plan funds. And I would like to see any consideration that we would give to, because we funded we helped the DA because that's a statutory obligation to us. The public defender's office is not, but they had a pretty pressing situation, particularly when we're talking about folks determining whether people will spend life in jail, an innocent person spends life in jail or gets competent defense. And so, they had a shortfall, that they had a pretty compelling story. And I'm not saying that DDA's story is not compelling, because we do need a vibrant downtown. And I've always been an advocate for making sure we do a vibrant downtown. But what I would like to see is whatever is done is done in concert or done after the city makes their commitment to the Downtown Development Authority as well. They have all the appointments to the board. I think the parking contract is 100% through the city. I believe the finances are done all through the city. So I would, and I don't know if Dr. Wilson is on the call, but I had asked for a meeting to be set up with the city of Shreveport to discuss this. And I don't know if that meeting was that meeting. Did I miss that meeting, Doc, Erica, Haley?
Commissioner Jackson?
Yes, sir.
No, you didn't miss the meeting.
Okay.
But I did talk to the mayor, and the mayor told me that there are no funds in the ARP budget for the DDA.
Yeah, well, we know they got more than ARP funds. And see what we did, and excuse me, Mr. Chairman, if I'm taking a little long here, but what we have been doing over the last couple of years, if we is and correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Wilson, Haley, Erica, Lyndon, you've been here for a while. What we have done over the last couple of years is we've been pretty flexible in helping out the city and the school board, just as I think Commissioner Johnson noted with truancy. We stepped up and helped out in places when they didn't have sufficient reserves, and we stepped up to support. Now we know that there are reserves and there are surpluses out there. We can't be the only one shouldering it now that we know. So now it's time for things to become a true tag team and partnership. And that's what I would like to see, an effort made to say, we've shouldered a lot of things over the last maybe decade or so as public budgets dwindle and reserves dwindle. But now we know. And how do we know? Because y'all said it, publicly said it, that there are reserves and sufficient reserves to go half on, kind of split the baby here. And that's what I would like to see, Dr. Wilson, is a conversation, not a pass-by conversation, but a sit-down conversation with all the stakeholders to say, how can we collectively address this issue? And that's my request.
Just the DDA specifically, Commissioner Jackson?
Oh, if y'all want to put everything on the table at that call, I'm fine with that too.
We've had meetings before already with President Johnson and myself with the leadership of the city to talk about ARP and where we can partner on different projects.
And
we've done that. Okay.
Well, I'd like to see, if they're not prioritizing it, I guess I'm just maybe wrestling with, if they're not prioritizing the DDA with any funds, not just ARP, I mean, how do we, I'm just, because the statute seems to wholly commit the DDA to the city of Shreveport, kind of like what the MPC is going to be come January 1, 2022.
Yeah, Commissioner Jackson, what the mayor specifically told me was that they already fund DDA at $300,000 annually. That's what he said. Now, if you want money beyond that, I think we will have to have a specific conversation as it relates to DDA, because conversations we've had in the past is how could we partner together on similar projects, and we had that conversation with Commissioner Cawthorn, LBJ, and myself.
Oh, well, then I must have missed that meeting.
Well, it was prior to this specific acts, because this was not in the picture at the time we had the meeting.
Yeah, well, the DDA is entirely in District 3.
Yeah, well, DDA the application wasn't in what the law that first came in, as she said earlier in her conversation. It just came after the fact because we didn't have it prior to that.
I understand. Well, I'd like to see I'd like to see if the city is going to support at some point, just like we had the conversation about BYJ, it's time for us to ask and almost have an expectation that, I mean, we hadn't asked anybody to come foot the bill for the DA's office.
Yeah, well, what we did, Commissioner Jackson, we asked the city if they would partner with us on the alerting system that Commissioner Gage Watts wanted to be a part of this ARP program. And we thought that they were deploying some technology that we could partner on. And we discussed that and a few other things as you know, Shreveport and so on and so forth.
But what about the DA? What about the sheriff's office and
Well, no, we
CPC?
have the statutory requirement to fund them, and that's why we did.
And I'm saying and we don't have a statutory requirement to fund some of these other agencies.
Well, you have no
But
debate.
we've stepped up in the past and we've done that. And I'd like to see a better partnership
Okay.
holistically. If we're the parish cannot foot the bill for everything. We can partner with people to do it, but I'd like to see for some of these institutions and entities, institutional things, not programs and projects, but some of these institutional things, structural things. If we're going to be partnering, let's go all out and partner with it.
Okay. All right, sir. We'll make the request, but you and I probably need to have a one-on-one so I can get the specificities of which.
Anybody gonna help us out with our $4 million juvenile deficit every year? I'm just saying, Doc.
No, sir. A preaching to the choir.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. I know I was a guest and you've been very liberal.
Can we stick to the American Rescue Plan?
Yes, sir. You've been very liberal with your time today. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion on downtown development? If not, we'll move to the next item, and that would be the neighborhood Operation Neighborhood Reinforcement Peace Practitioners. And I think that they were on, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. So the last time that you came, you wanted to do a 24-month pilot program. Some of the things that you had on the list, it's kind of been straightened out through the use of 211. And you wanted to come back with a revised request?
That is correct.
Okay, so what are you requesting this time?
Well, first of all, I'm requesting $630,000 for a 14-month pilot program, which will be upscaling Humanity 2020 Group, a company that powers Operation Neighborhood Reinforcement, where we utilize our voice and not force. We're a nonprofit organization, a service provider for Northwest Louisiana 211. We'll be taking the 211 calls, the nonviolent ones, and so we have did research, and we found out that we'll be the first one and the only one to be deployed to the site of crisis through the 211 Northwest Louisiana.
Okay, and 600,000 would be for what?
It'll be for 14 months. We're looking to establish headquarters, the whole office aspect of the dispatchers. We want to implicate Operation Neighborhood Peace Practitioners, to pay them, get their work studies and all their duties together. We want to make sure that our fully furnished dispatcher, the 211, and hopefully we'll be able to make some kind of link up to the SPD to help them with their nonviolent and on calls for society issues. We also would like to have it for transportation, a fully equipped medical supply transportation that consists of everything from medical supplies, burn kits, the gurney, everything we need to transport or come to the aid. We also wanted to make sure that we follow all the Caddo Parish and Shreveport rules when it comes to operation vehicles. We need all the insurance and all the things that go along with make sure we're legal. We also would like to have everything we need in terms of monies to be able to support our professional, our EMTs, our drug and alcohol specialists, our therapists, our peace practitioner drivers, and a couple of our administrative staff members. That's just a summary.
Okay. I guess first question is now to Haley. based on that information, does that qualify?
This particular application, to summarize, is starting up a business. I also think that with all the startup costs that she will endure, her organization will endure, it might be better to go through one of our small business plans. As far as mental health is covered under ARP, but setting up a mental health center does not qualify. So the way it was presented to us now, I don't think this qualifies. This doesn't qualify.
Okay. Commissioner Hopkins, I saw your hand. Okay. The mental health piece does qualify, but the setting up a business does not.
Well, when I said that, I know that mental health is covered in ARPA at some level, but not at the level of setting up an entire business and supporting an entire business in this manner. Mental health is covered if we're, directing towards an area or something like in that manner. But mental health in this capacity by starting up a business this is startup business regardless of what the business is for, and that is not covered.
Could I interject? Humanity 2020 group has already been formed. We're upscaling by adding the Operation Neighborhood Reinforcement Peace practitioners. So we're not starting a business. This business has been around since 2020. We just have we would power Operation Neighborhood Reinforcement. We're upscaling. That's what we're asking for, to upscale.
So basically, you're branching another service of the existing service.
Yeah, through surveys, through our marketing campaign that we have done on Facebook, and through our person-to-person door survey targeting the high crime areas in Queensboro and Ingleside. We have taken that data and we have formed a solution and treatment plan.
Okay, Commissioner Carthon, and then I see Commissioner Atkins.
I thank you first, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Jackson, I understand exactly what it is. I won't say exactly. I understand what it is you're trying to do as it relates to your business, and that it's not a startup. Can I pose this question to you, because it does look like a capital investment in your business? So to that extent, if you're requesting $600,000 from us, how much is your business is going to augment that? So if we do $600,000, your entity is prepared to do a capital infusion of what amount?
We have what you call in-kind services, and we work with our sweat and our dedication. And so right now, this would be an upscaling Operation Neighborhood Reinforcement Peace practitioners to help the community, a non-police mobile mental health response team. Another arm of the parish first responder system, the police sense to crime, firefighters sense to fires, and peace practitioners sense to behavioral health incidents. So that's the way that I can answer that in terms of we're looking forward to upscale. I just want to just underline that.
But the reason I pose that question to you is from the perspective of an entrepreneur, and you're an entrepreneur. Just think that's a fair question. And I further ask that question because we do have a partnership that we will be cementing with True Fund to do capital investment, capital loans to companies, in addition to doing some advanced services for the pursuit of engaging in the loan and technical assistance for your business. So I just wanted to put that out there. But thank you, Mr. Chair. That is my question. Thanks.
Okay, Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Jackson, I am unclear on what your current relationship is with the 211 service and with the
Come into 211 Caddo Parish and Caddo Parish area and some of the unincorporated areas, we'll be the first to be deployed. We'll get the phone calls to come and handle the crisis at hand. Because we're under funding, that's what we're asking to upscale into where we can be able to do that effectively through the 211 process.
Okay, thank you. I know there's a need out there for this service, but I'm uncomfortable with taking it up at the Caddo Parish level. I think for it to be effective, it needs to be more closely integrated with the Shreveport Police Department or the Shreveport or the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office. So I have my concerns about this. I also feel like it's a significant, although it is represented as a growth initiative to an existing business. I think we could all agree it's a very significant growth initiative, and you're almost starting up a new business unit. So those are my concerns.
Okay, well, I would like to address one of your concerns. There's one particular part where we're modeling a very successful program that the city saved $2 million on the program, very similar to ours, but ours is kind of customized to fit Shreveport's societal problems. $14 million was the saving ticket, just spending $2 million on a program that we have modeled behind. Number two, our marketing part of this, 100% of the individuals that we have spoken with would love to see more of our initiative and our peace practitioners. We did a survey over the course of the summer, the spring into the summer. So the citizens are asking for, I guess you say, a different type of alternative to the police department, the sheriff department, because of the personality of the police officer when it comes to excessive force and abuse, and the community that I'm speaking for. I'm their voice. We use the campaign survey to kind of narrate that, and we also have it in where you can look at the data that they're asking for folks like us, other than the officer. We're a non-police mobile mental health response team, and this is what we have surveyed, and we're still ongoing doing surveys.
Thank you.
Commissioner Talaferro.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would be on my video, but apparently my shirt is not user friendly for the camera. So I'll ask Ms. Jackson a couple of quick questions. As you know, I'm former law enforcement, so therefore I have a great respect for everything that they do. And I want to know what your relationship is with them. And also, would you be able to provide us, and you should be able to provide us to boost your concerns there about your call logs for the time that you have been in business. I know that you maintain call logs or calls for service. Could you provide the commission or this committee with those call logs for however long you've been doing the 211s?
Great. When it comes to the police department, the relationships that we have are spoken with your Ben Raymond, Deputy White, and they are totally in agreement where they understood, our strategy and our mission. And there was a couple questions on, could we upscale? Could we do this more on a larger scale? Could we be 24 hours? And also, we spoke about being active on the time that they're having the high crime times, which is, I think was for the evening hours. I don't have my notes in front of me. So the relationship is kind of we're kind of waiting on that particular relationship to materialize, but I have done all the listening meetings. I did what you called left them the survey in the middle of the meeting. So we had a formal meeting. Now, when it comes to the 211 service provider, if and when we get funding, that would help us upscale. And once we upscale, we will, all of our records and all of our calls, and we even can welcome the commissioners to come aboard when we out, just to see what we're doing. But we don't have any of the 211 data to show at this point until we're actually can, get our initiative up and off the ground.
Okay, and if I may, Mr. President, a couple of follow-up questions for Ms. Jackson. So how long have you actually been providing the 211 service?
We are just, and I want to say not, when you say provided, we are a service provider, and it's contingency on if we are able to, be funded, because a lot of my professionals that I have on staff, we cannot, we can't just have them out volunteer because they have other jobs and they're committed only if I can get them paid for their services. So as you know, that professionals, they're expensive. And so that's the reason why that we haven't, started our 211 initiative, taking any calls, because we're looking to get funding to have the dispatchers. We need our dispatch equipment to be able to, get the calls and then deploy our agents out, our police practitioners out, sorry.
Okay, so, all right. So in essence, you're asking the commission or this committee to approve your business startup. I think Commissioner Atkins mentioned that. Is that what we're hearing? Is that what I'm hearing? That you're asking?
I call it upscaling, but upscaling.
Well, you're not.
Yeah.
Let me clarify something. Upscaling means you have a platform already, and that you're looking to enhance the current platform that you're currently utilizing. It sounds to me like you are actually asking for seed money to actually spin up your 211 system or call center.
Well, you know what? Again, the Humanity 2020 group has been around. We have done a lot of the surveys, the door-to-door talking to people. We have diffused a couple situations that made it to the news but we could do a better, effective, and the best practice of the Humanity 2020 group will be having Operation Neighborhood Reinforce a Peace practitioner to be paid, to have we're doing our own vehicles, our own homes. We could actually do so much better. So Humanity 2020 group powers Operation Neighborhood Reinforcement. We have ran out of our resources, and the professionals that we have on staff has to be paid, and we've been doing it in Humanity 2020 group without any funding or anything. And so upscaling is that's the reason why I say upscaling, because we'll be able to upscale. And if that's just buying equipment and mobile stuff too, because we're doing all our cars, we're doing our cell phones and our desktops, we'll be more best effective if we had, the support from the Caddo Parish commissioners. So I would say upscale.
Jim, if I could help clarify something.
I'm sorry.
In some cities, there is something called 311. And in 311, that's what people call for this kind of service. We don't have 311 in our system. In some communities, they utilize 211 for the same purpose. And I had directed Ms. Jackson, because on her initial request, it was over $1 million. And part of that was setting up a call center. So I kind of asked of her to get with United Ways 211 for that piece of it. So she did, and that's why she keeps saying that she's now a listed resource under 211. That was a way to try to help drive business to her particular company. There's now the piece of the practitioners and responding to the scene. That's the point in which she's now coming back to, because now she has a method to be called, where initially she didn't, but now she does. And it's just trying to see if this is something that we want to try to put out there under the American Rescue Plan to try to help this piece get established, or if it's something that we want to say, well, we might be able to fund on something else, but maybe not American Rescue Plan money. I saw Commissioner Cawthorn hand. Jim, are you finished?
Yeah. So I appreciate you, give me a little bit more insight. So basically the mission is to provide our citizens with access to city services instead of bogging down our emergency services personnel, fire department, police department on non-emergency levels of customer service, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Correct. All right, I saw Commissioner Cawthorn and then Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Atkins, your hand still up or is it down?
It's down.
So Commissioner Cawthorn.
I'm ready. Hey, I just want to chime in again. I want to applaud Ms. Jackson for what it is she's trying to do, because there are movements around the nation, and with the advent of what happened with George Floyd and some other Black Lives Matters around the nation are having this type of intervention in the community. I think you were challenged with the chicken and the egg approach. You got an excellent theory that I know we can use in this community. I think that we are challenged by the fact that you don't have a large enough track record in providing such services. So what I will propose to you, because I would like to see us to do something in this realm that you're suggesting. Do you know of another entity, whether it's locally or whether it's somewhere else, that has a track record that you could probably partner with, so that we get the confidence that from a theoretical perspective, we know that you know what you can do. I think some of the committee members might be a little bit more comfortable with a track record, because it's both a theory, something that's practical that needs to be employed in Shreveport, but it's also a business decision in terms of the capital that needs to be expended. And so my suggestion is that a possibility of an entity like yours that you could potentially partner with? Because in business decisions all the time, people with shorter track records do partner with people who have an extended track record so they can get to the next level.
Okay, can you hear me? Make sure I'm not
Yes, I
muted.
can.
I was, my first initial plan was to, because this program that I'm talking about, Cahoots, this program that I use a little bit of their pieces, and I got some of the statistics from the Shreveport, Louisiana, and used some of their statistics, and I formed Operation Neighborhood Peace Practitioners. We have the number one way that this type of model is funded through the city or the parish or the PD, and so I will have to partner up with either or of them. There's another thing that I wanted to bring to the table, is that there is a way that I can have stability. Okay, I'm all excited. Where I can this right here. If you fund me, it put me in a position where I can get 85% match and Medicaid funding, where I could be able to sustain our revenues and whatever we need to take to make this initiative move forward. But the partnership is either with the police department and Cahoots and Eugene, Oregon. They're just a company like myself. And I think they do less than what we do, because they have more different types of society problems than Shreveport does. And they're moving the police department or the city, or that's where they get their solely funding from. Now, Cahoots had passed a bill of 2020 to pass so that programs such like theirs can get an 85% match in the Medicaid funds. But I have to be able to be pilot somehow. And the partnership is either with the city or the PD. That's where my model came from. That's why I went there first. And then I found out there was ARP money that fit. That's the reason why then I solicited you guys.
Okay.
And once I'm up and going 5% through the Medicaid.
So more succinctly, what I was asking, like what your participation would be in this program. Is there another city where there's an entity that would be doing what you're doing with, we say the Sacramento Police Department or the San Diego Police Department? You follow my question? Oh,
absolutely. Absolutely. Again, each one of these police departments, say for instance, like I'm speaking of Eugene, I think it's some in Houston, is just a nonprofit, like Cahoots. Cahoots is, they're just their entity, and then they use the PD or the city funds to fund them 100%. So 100% is backed by the police department or the city. I would love to partner with whomever. Our initiative is more passionate. It's not. I know it's money amount. I'm not naive, but it is really about utilizing our services and our treatment plan to help with our societal problems. That is, ONR aims to reduce the crisis of emergency situation that affects citizens in society, which disturbs the Caddo Parish, as these crises lead to instability in the community, and to de-escalate sudden disturbing events harming the community, generally arising at a short notice. we are here to identify trigger crisis, feeling of fear and threat amongst citizens. We are here. We have a unique approach, and we just need that the opportunity. Again, I'm a culture change. I'm a woman whose thinking, words, and energy will cause a social disruption. I just need to know if by asking you guys at the Commission of Caddo Parish to join us in our culture change and movement by supporting our efforts, and then that would give us an alternative. Give our citizen alternative to the nonviolent and the non-emergency calls, and it will also give them alternative when it comes to excessive force and deadly force. We can also help the police department decrease their policing. We can also, provide, ambulance ride, emergency room. So it's a win-win situation. It is kind of, I know at the very beginning, because I'm a new person here, but this is my career. This is what I go to college for. This is what I want to do when I grow up, in a sense. So I'm not here to I'm not here to leave and go anywhere. I'm here to expand to other cities that have the same societal problems. I'm here to partner with whomever. But at this point, for this type of funding, it really will give us our 14-month pilot, and it will give us it'll give us the three questions. What can we do, and how can we do it better, and who did we save? We need funding.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Jackson. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Johnson, I think you may be
Oh,
talking.
Commissioner Jackson. Yeah, Commissioner Jackson, I see your hand. I see Commissioner Burrell and somebody with Commissioner's iPad. That hand was up, but look like it's down again. So Commissioner Jackson, go, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. From what I hear, it sounds like I'm again go back to Dr. Wilson. We might need to be trying to pull. Has anybody had a conversation with Martha Carter about this, Dr. Wilson?
No, sir. I don't believe we have.
Okay, because what I hate to have happen is I think the program and concept is good. I think it's very well needed. But how we go about getting it stood up and done is really going to be, I think it's going to be a it's going to be a quite a tall task. So I'm not saying it shouldn't be done. I'm just trying to imagine how, because you have to get the police department to buy in, because if somebody calls 211 or 311, and then somebody across the street, calls 911, if the police shows up, then that non-commissioned officer is going to have to stand down to the commissioned officer, Jim. So I'm just trying to figure out in my head, how does that work? Then the other way is sustainability, how to sustain it. I know that the 911 center gets a piece of that telecommunications tax. So it might need to be a question about, one, is it time to look at, I think they've been increasing it over the years. I think Patrick Williams was the last one that did an increase on it. But they've been increasing that telecommunications tax for the 911 centers, as well as the hearing impaired. So there may need to be a conversation on how this may be able to be wrapped up into that funding. I mean, it's definitely needed. I think it's definitely worth us, at some point we got to go down this road and help, because it'll save folks' lives. But how we do it, we have to be very intentional and careful on how we do it. So I think a conversation with Martha Carter.
They're over here. I mean, I don't know how far away I can put them.
Say again? I guess a conversation with Martha Carter could be had, as well as a conversation with whoever the police chief should be had, as well as the sheriff. Because again, if you go in and those police officers are on the scene, they have to have permission. They have to have permission to come in. because what you don't want is you don't want one of the sort of peace officers or alternative officers getting caught up in a situation where it's very tense. So they have to have that agreement in place before they go in. So we have to see how it all unfolds. No, in the interest of time, I just was making comments, and if you want to email me some information, feel free. But in the interest of time, I don't know if the chairman wants to have a dialogue on it. I just was offering some thoughts to our administration. Did you get that for me, Doc?
Yes, sir, I got it.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we can do that offline instead of doing the meeting.
Yes, sir.
You do, Commissioner Jackson?
Yes, sir.
All right, Commissioner Burrell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've just been sitting here listening to Ms. Jackson and you all's deliberation on this. First of all, it was my understanding from a previous meeting that this was like a pilot program. Secondly, from what I do remember, when Mr. Henderson bought his program for the dealing with mental health, and I thought in the conversation that we had that she was doing something similar to what they may be doing. If you know Mr. Henderson that I'm talking about, that came before us, and it was my understanding. I know I suggested that Ms. Jackson, if she would have that conversation with them, since they were already a more established program, which could possibly have been a partnership type of arrangement if they reached that point. So I guess my question comes to, was that, did that conversation ever come about, the one with Mr. Henderson? If you remember the person who I'm talking about that came, he and his wife came as a consultant. Mr. Chairman, you remember that?
Yes, you're talking about Derek Henderson?
Derek Henderson.
Derek Henderson.
Yeah, I couldn't remember his name. You remember he and his wife came, and we sort of concluded that what Ms. Jackson was pursuing was similar, but not exactly the way that was. And as I recall, we asked her to see. Well, we asked Mr. Henderson if he would speak with her program, speak with her about her program and everything. So, Ms. Jackson, were you able to make that contact? Did you ever do that?
Now I'm trying to go back. I don't remember Derek Henderson, but I did remember. No, I have my vice president on the phone, and maybe she can pick up where I'm leaving off at.
It was a husband and wife team came, and you were there presenting your program at the same time.
Right, they're not husband and wife. She and Derek just.
I want to say they're co-workers.
They're co-workers. They're not husband and wife.
Okay, I thought that they took them as
okay. Okay. All right. Now, Commissioner Jackson and Commissioner Atkins said that I had a program very similar to Angie Woolhite. Is that ringing a bell? That's when we went back and we combed the city to see if there's anyone to have crisis intervention teams.
So I didn't. So undoubtedly, Dan, you didn't speak with this person. You assume that he wasn't a match. Then I assume, because I remember clearly. Matter of fact, I remember asking you to do it because you were with Miss Walpole, and Miss Walpole is in my district, and I know that she's worked. She and her husband and others in Queensboro and the Ingleside with me on dealing with gang issues over there, which I thought this was a very good program for some intervention there. But since you have not talked to them, then you can have, well, you don't have any information that you can share on that dialogue. But again, I still support what you're trying to do, but going back to what was said before, I'm sure that my colleagues are looking for some sort of track record in which, partnering with someone else, that's an avenue. But you may still want to check back with Mr. Henderson, because his program was what I understood was close to some of the things that you were trying to do, Ms. Jackson. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Atkins, your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Jackson, one quick question. What's the current budget of your existing operation, your annual budget for 2020?
We work volunteer at this point. We volunteer. We work out our vehicles. We use our own monies. So
you have no current operating budget. Do you have any experience with managing operating budgets?
Well, I have the experience to hire someone that does.
Well, that's always a good idea. I have no doubt that you have the technical expertise in mental health, but I'm concerned about the ability to manage an operation of this size. I'm just being candid, so forgive me for my candor.
No, that's a valid question. We do have someone on staff that has he managed our 501c3.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Jackson.
Yeah, and he has CPA.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair.
Okay.
I want to offer this. Can you hear me?
Okay, go ahead.
This Commissioner Cawthorn. I don't mind. What I would like to offer this. I think that Ms. Jackson has an excellent program that is going to be gravely needed in this local community. I think we need to kind of sit down with her and kind of look at the business model on one side and then how her expertise can be implemented in this community and who needs to be the partnership with that. I don't mind being the person that'll lead the meeting, to have that sit down, whatever technical people we have to do the business model for us. And then we get a better unfolding and understanding of her technical expertise and how she bring it to the marketplace. I think it's something that we may be able to do something with. Right now, it's just a little sketchy. And I sense that's not the total level of confidence in terms of moving forward. So in any business arrangement, any social arrangement, there needs to be the knowingness and the comfortability of let's do it and how we move forward.
I agree.
It sounds like something that y'all want to send through the EAP that y'all funded for so many years. They could fine tune it and get it right. I think it sounds like between them and Cohab.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, I'm finished, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Seeing no one else, next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next item on the agenda is just to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
I thought we had one
Move
more
to
application.
adjourn. Which one?
I thought we had still Red G Enterprises.
Oh, we did
that one already.
Okay, all right.
It didn't fit the program.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Got a motion to adjourn and a second.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you
Chairman.
everyone for showing up. All right.
Take care.